The movie opens in Chinatown, Hawaii, during the vibrant Chinese New Year festival. Amid the celebration, an elderly private detective named Walter Hale moves carefully through the crowded streets, constantly scanning his surroundings to make sure he isn't being followed. He discreetly slips a package into a mailbox, then grabs a jacket to use as a disguise. Just as he steps onto the road to leave the area, a van suddenly speeds toward him and runs him over. The scene cuts to James Hale, a Navy SEAL commander, supervising a water competency drill for a group of new cadets. The trainees struggle to keep up with him underwater and surface far too soon. Clearly disappointed, James climbs out of the pool, reprimands them, and orders them back in within 30 seconds. Before they can continue, he is told he has a phone call waiting. The call brings devastating news. His father is dead. Soon after, James is at the morgue identifying the body. The coroner informs him it was a hit and run and says he can obtain the full police report the next day. Later that day, James returns to his beachside home in Honolulu and prepares dinner for his family. His wife, Layla, joins him in the kitchen, greeting him warmly and complimenting his cooking before asking about his day. How was your day? James doesn't even bother mentioning his father's death at first. It was good. Usual. Making it clear that the two of them were extremely distant. He mentions that his cadets struggled during training, then casually drops the shocking news that his father was killed in a hit and run. Also, Walter finally managed to get himself killed. Hit and run, and that he has already identified the body. Wait, your father died? Traffic down there is out of control. All that road work. An extra 45 minutes to get home. Babe, I'm so sorry. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. After a moment, she asks whether he has at least informed his half-brother Johnny, who lives in Oklahoma. James mutters that Johnny never answers his calls, but Layla encourages him to leave a message anyway. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma, Johnny, a police officer, arrives home to find his longtime girlfriend, Valentina, loading her belongings into her car. Confused, he asks what is going on. She explains that she is tired of being ignored and frustrated that he never puts in the same effort she does. To prove her point, she asks him what day it is. Do you even know what today is? Wednesday. She sighs in disbelief and reveals it's actually her birthday. I'm so sorry. Don't shoot me. Desperate, he apologizes again and tells her he loves her in Spanish. Ni mucho te quiero. Mucho. Te quiero mucho. Okay, Donnie. You forgive me, please? I'm so sorry. Wow. Today's Friday, by the way. And I don't speak Spanish, because I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese. Tejota. So similar. Portuguese is basically drunk in Spanish. Later that night, Johnny sits alone, drinking beer and scrolling through his phone when he receives a call from Layla. She introduces herself as James's wife and informs him that his father has died. Johnny barely reacts. Figure he died years ago. He died yesterday. Layla tells him the funeral is the next day and says it would mean a lot if he came. Johnny walks into the bathroom to take a leak. While Johnny is still on the call, two Japanese men silently enter the house and sneak up behind him. One suddenly presses a knife to his throat. What the f? Surprisingly calm, Johnny asks what they want. He's got the wrong house guy. Hello? Johnny, they claim Walter sent him a package and demand he hand it over, threatening terrible consequences if he refuses. Johnny insists Walter couldn't have sent anything since he's dead, and they haven't spoken in years. As a noble dude, Johnny offers them a sword fight. Cool, man. One of the intruders points to the tattoo on his chest and asks if he knows what it represents. You know what this is? Probably dragon horse. It's a dragon. Looks like an angry horsey. It's a dragon, It's a dragon's apple. Johnny realizes they belong to the Yakuza. When it becomes clear they won't back down, he responds with sudden, brutal violence, delivering devastating blows and slamming them into walls and furniture. A third gunman bursts in and opens fire. The attacker soon runs out of bullets, and the fight turns physical again. Johnny manages to knock one of them unconscious, while somehow still taking swags from his beer in the middle of the chaos. He knocks out the next one, but just when he thinks the fight is over, he notices one of them standing beside his mother's shrine and warns him not to touch it. When the man ignores him, Johnny becomes visibly enraged and finishes him off, using a grater to peel his skin and performing "Put Your Mouth on a Curb" fatality from American History X. Oh yeah. Who's a dragon? The next day, Walter's funeral is held in Hawaii. As the service begins, James scans the surroundings and notices members of both the Yakuza and Mr. K's syndicate, a powerful local gang, watching from a distance. He remarks on the unusual crowd. Interesting crowd. Yakuza syndicate. And his cousin Nani points out that Walter was a private detective who likely made enemies on all sides. She wonders if Johnny will show up, but James doubts it, saying Johnny cut Walter off years ago. To everyone's surprise, Johnny does arrive. Nani warmly welcomes him. You called him? And Layla greets him with a hug, introducing him to her children. This is your Uncle Q. Scare my dad's brother. Perhaps. How come I never met you? Because your father doesn't like me. Soon, the two brothers begin exchanging passive-aggressive remarks. Yeah, oh, that's that. I can lose weight. You're still gonna be old. Are we gonna keep measuring dicks, or can we be civil for a minute? I haven't decided yet. Sorry. Just then, Hawaii's governor and a close family friend, Peter Maho, steps forward to deliver Walter's eulogy. He acknowledges Johnny's presence, thanks everyone for attending, and speaks warmly about Walter. As the speech continues, Johnny notices the syndicate members still watching from afar. After the funeral, the family gathers at James's home. Johnny realizes it used to belong to James's mother, Malia, and James explains that he took over the mortgage after her death. A lot smaller than I remember. No, it was always small. James reminds him that Malia made space for him after he lost his own mother. She made room for you anyway. Yeah, and he hated that. What are you talking about? Johnny the bastard. What? Yeah, I'm the walking reminder that he grounded your mother and you never let him home. Yeah, Jesus Christ, this again? It's not what I was saying. What are you saying? Walter left Malia for Kim. It broke up my family. All right, I was just a kid. Sorry if it took me a minute to get over it. And maybe you still haven't. And maybe you're still a bastard. Inside, the family sits down for brunch. Peter remarks that it's good to see the two brothers together again. Johnny offers a brief apology for Malia's passing, and Nani tells him he should have come back then because Malia loved him like a son. Trying to lighten the mood, she asks whether he is seeing anyone. Yes? No, I don't know. Sounds serious. Well, I think Walter would have really appreciated you being here. Come out here for him. They came to find out who killed him. Killed him? What are you talking about? Now was a hit room. I don't think so. The room falls silent in confusion. Sensing the tension, Layla sends the children to their rooms. Once they are gone, James demands an explanation. Johnny reveals that members of the Yakuza attacked him in Oklahoma, insisting Walter had sent him a package. James is skeptical and accuses Johnny of bringing trouble wherever he goes. Johnny snaps back that he didn't need James's help before and doesn't need it now. Don't worry about it. I'll expect you to help me. Nothing to help with. That's the same thing you said about my mother. After a tense pause, James asks to speak with him outside. Nah, I'm good right here. No, you're not. Outside, James confronts him, pointing out that Johnny hadn't spoken to Walter in 20 years and now suddenly wants to dig into his affairs. He warns that Johnny will only create chaos, as he always does. Johnny fires back that James has a perfect life and is afraid that anything might disrupt it. He asks why James can't trust him even once. You couldn't find the guy who killed your mother, so now all of a sudden you decided someone killed your father. So you gotta find that guy. He insists it was simply a hit and run and tells him to let it go. Furious, Johnny storms off, telling James to go back to his comfortable life. James replies coldly that at least he has one. Later that evening, Johnny visits a local bar. The bartender hands him a drink, remarking that he looks like he needs it. As Johnny takes a sip, Alekai, one of Mr. K's men, approaches and mocks him for being foolish enough to return to Hawaii. He says Mr. K wants to see him. Johnny scoffs, insults Mr. K, and refuses to go. Moments later, his vision begins to blur, and dizziness overwhelms him. Sorry, hun. Realizing the drink was drugged, he collapses. When Johnny regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up with Mr. K looming over him. Mr. K remarks that Johnny showed respect by attending his father's funeral, which is the only reason he is still alive. He accuses Johnny of having the nerve to return after killing many of his men. You killed my mother. Maybe not. He claims the syndicate will not tolerate his presence, though he is offering him a chance the Yakuza would never give: safe passage out of Hawaii. Why don't you just go back home to where you came from? I'm from here. No, you're not from here, bruh. Not anymore. At his signal, his men restrain Johnny while Mr. K cuts his mark into Johnny's neck as a warning. He declares that Johnny has 7 days to leave the islands. And then if you're not come by that time, brah, you're gonna go for a long swim. Sometime later, Johnny wakes up alone on the beach, dumped there by Mr. K's men. Oh. Meanwhile, James pays a visit to the detective handling Walter's case. After offering his condolences, Rennert listens as James requests access to the police report. The detective tells him it won't reveal much. The area where Walter was hit is a dead zone. The locals won't talk to the police, and the only camera in the area wasn't working that day. James questions how a private detective with known ties to the criminal underworld could be killed in such a place without raising suspicion. Rennert insists they have no evidence suggesting it was anything other than a hit and run. Rennert warns him that he knows the kind of men he and Johnny are. Now I got 2 badass sons looking into their father's death. And digging too deeply into Walter's death could mean poking a bear. You don't really know who I am, so you're gonna have to take my word for it when I tell you that I'm the bear. Thanks for your time. Back in his car, he opens the evidence bag and finds Walter's keychain, pocket knife, and wallet. Inside the wallet, he notices a receipt with something written on the back. James visits the exact location where Walter was killed. He studies the tire marks on the pavement and scans the area, eventually spotting a CCTV camera mounted outside a nearby strip club. He walks in. The attendant assumes he's there for entertainment, but James calmly says he wants access to their security footage from a few nights earlier. He places some cash on the counter. The employee calls his boss, who quickly refuses and tells James to leave. James places more money on the table and explains it isn't payment for their cooperation. I'm gonna get that for free. It's for the damage. What damage? At the same time, Johnny heads to Walter's apartment, determined to find proof that his father was murdered. As soon as he steps inside, he notices the place has been ransacked, as if someone had been searching for something. He grabs a beer and starts digging through the mess. In one of Walter's drawers, he finds a gun and keeps it. Suddenly, he hears someone trying to unlock the door. He quickly hides and watches as a young man enters and begins rummaging through the same drawer. Johnny steps out, startling him. The intruder panics and bolts. Johnny chases him, but the guy moves with impressive parkour skills, leaping over obstacles and cutting through tight spaces. You fat jack, can't suck my butt, though, you Anticipating his path, Johnny takes a shortcut and intercepts him, landing a solid punch that sends him crashing to the ground. Johnny drags him to a nearby bar to interrogate him. While the man presses napkins to his bleeding nose, Johnny demands to know who he is and why he was snooping through Walter's apartment. The man insists that Walter was like a father to him. Walter wasn't a father to anyone. Yeah, how the f did you know? Because I'm his son. The man's expression shifts in surprise when he realizes who he's talking to. Oh, shh. You swear a lot. Yeah, Johnny. He introduces himself as Pika, stupid name, and explains that he worked for Walter, hacking emails, tapping phones, and gathering compromising material for blackmail. When Johnny asks who might want Walter dead, Pika says the list would be long. He adds that Walter's most recent assignment involved him working undercover at a catering company called Nui Loa. Johnny questions why a private detective would infiltrate a catering business. Before Pika can elaborate further, Johnny tells him he now works for him. Well, good news, Pika. You work for me now? Come here. Oh, it's fixed. You're welcome. Johnny and Pika return to Walter's apartment, with Pika still complaining about his nose. Twisting my nose does not fix my nose. That beer will. As they look around, Johnny notices a surfboard mounted nearby and asks whether Walter even surfed. Pika says he didn't because of a bad knee. Johnny points out that the fin is installed incorrectly. When he adjusts it, a hidden compartment pops open and a blueprint falls out. Johnny realizes it's a site plan stamped with a government seal. He immediately calls Nani, who works as an assistant to Governor Peter Maho and is currently at a campaign rally. Johnny explains what he has found, but admits he doesn't understand it. Nani says she can access the government database once she gets back to the office, but she'll need the 8-digit file number printed on the document. I got it. Okay. Listen, I see it. I just need you to do it as fast as you can because you don't help me. If you're a man, I'll punch you in the face. Family, right? I mean, you've got probably lots. Oh my God, bro, I can't even. You can understand how. Whatever. That was racist. My bad. Pika prepares to head to the hospital to get his nose checked. Just then, James bursts into the apartment with his gun drawn. The brothers stand frozen, aiming at each other until they realize who they're facing. Get him off the bus. Suck it. Come on, open faster. Alopecia, kid. It's Pika. What are you doing here? James says he came to the apartment for the same reason Johnny did, to find answers. I thought it was a hit and run. He then reveals a strangely shaped flash drive he got from the strip club containing the CCTV footage of Walter's death. They plug it in and watch carefully. The van that hits Walter has no visible license plate and doesn't slow down after the impact. It's clearly deliberate. When someone crosses your path, your natural reaction, break and short, unless you're aiming for him. It didn't even break. Not till way after that. The brothers finally accept that Walter was murdered. Johnny turns to Pika and orders him to compile a list of every blue van registered in the city, along with a record of every event Nui Loa has catered in the past 2 weeks, plus any upcoming events. So there's like the matter of compensation, yeah? So you going to discuss that right now, or shoots? I just going to hell out then? I guess I don't gotta get any punani desponta. He leaves to begin the work. As the brothers drive away from the apartment, they discuss the footage and the suspicious circumstances surrounding Walter's death. Suddenly, a vehicle rams into them. Members of the Yakuza slam their car from the side, sending it spinning violently through the street as the ambush begins. The Yakuza open fire on the brothers' car. James and Johnny duck and grab their weapons, firing back, but the attacker's vehicle is bulletproof. James manages to take out one of the gunmen before running out of ammunition. Johnny jumps out of the car, dodging bullets as they rain down around him. James grabs another gun, climbs onto the attacker's vehicle, and fires repeatedly at the reinforced glass, trying to break through it. Suddenly, Johnny shouts for him to jump. He aims at the vehicle's gas tank and shoots, triggering a massive explosion. The burning wreck flips and crashes into James's car. You blew up my car. I blew up their car and then it landed on yours. They just blew up your car. You're welcome. Saved your life, man. Soon after, the brothers find themselves at the police station with Detective Rennert, who is clearly unimpressed by the chaos they caused.
So this is the brother from Oklahoma, the cop?
That's me.
Not according to your boss. Suspended with pay pending an investigation for
How's he talking about?
excessive force. I'm getting paid?
He demands to know why the Yakuza are targeting them. Yakuza? That's what that was? James hands over the flash drive containing the footage of Walter's death, explaining that it could help identify the van. Rennert takes it, but warns them to stop acting like a wrecking crew before someone else gets hurt. With that, he leaves the room. That evening, Nani updates them on the blueprint Johnny found. She tracked down the original architect and discovered that the plan is for a property on the northeastern side of the island. The project was commissioned by the Robichaux firm, owned by a powerful and wealthy developer named Marcus Robichaux, who has business interests across Hawaii, Asia, and Europe.
So you think Walter was working with Vampire Lestat here?
If he needed PI work, he'd hire I don't know, ex-CIA or Mossad, not a bottom feeder like Walter. James studies the blueprint again and realizes the structure is actually a casino.
So Lestat's building more hotels, so what?
It's not a hotel, it's a casino. What?
It's a Secret Princess casino.
Nani points out that gambling is illegal in Hawaii, which makes the entire project suspicious. James says they need to speak with Robichaux, and Nani informs them he is hosting a fundraiser the next day. Despite her warning that they won't blend in, the brothers decide they are going. Johnny says he will stay at a motel, but Nani insists he spend the night at the house, and James reluctantly agrees. The next morning, Johnny heads to the garage, where he admires James's sleek, expensive motorcycle. He hops on to test it just as James walks in and sharply tells him to get off. James asks about the suspension in Oklahoma. Johnny explains that he shot a meth dealer who was selling drugs to children. James simply nods and then shows him Walter's old bike, saying he can ride that one instead. The brothers ride out to inspect the casino construction site. When they arrive, they are surprised to find a small community living on the land. A man approaches them and asks if they are lost. When they ask who owns the property, a woman responds that it belongs to everyone. She explains that no one officially lives there, but their community protects the land and does not recognize government ownership. She warns that outsiders, the Howleys, will try to take it, but they are ready to defend it.
You hold half.
There's no half. You either in or you out. Your brain's not confused. Just your spirit.
You won with your spirit.
In the middle of the conversation, Johnny gets a call from Pika with news that the van that hit Walter has been located. The brothers leave immediately. At the scene, Detective Rennert informs them that a body was found inside the van after it was dumped in the ocean. The victim is Simi Iona, a low-level accountant at the governor's office. Rennert asks if they recognize the name, but they don't. He suggests Iona may have been responsible for Walter's death, but Johnny points out that someone went through considerable effort to dump the vehicle and remove the license plates, which suggests a cover-up. Rennert hands them a list of registered blue van owners in the area. Johnny tries to keep it, but Rennert snatches it back, reminding him that he is not a cop in Hawaii.
You're not a cop here.
You are not a cop anywhere. After the detective leaves, Johnny asks Pika to look into Hayashi Imports, the only Japanese name he noticed on the list. Pika then reminds them that the Robichaux fundraiser is about to begin.
We're not invited.
Don't worry, I'm not a caterer.
Of course, you know, that.
Shortly after, they arrive at Marcus Robichaux's fundraiser. Pika outfits them in catering uniforms to avoid suspicion. He informs them that Hayashi Imports is owned by several Japanese holding companies. James concludes it is likely connected to the Yakuza.
Split up. You guys look like the Rock himself and had twins.
Johnny quickly becomes distracted when he spots an attractive woman and decides to follow her. Meanwhile, Pika instructs James to stay in the kitchen, washing dishes. As James works, a Japanese guest approaches him, casually pours powdered sugar onto a plate, uses a card to divide it into lines, and consumes it right there. James discreetly grabs the plate, checks the card, and sees the name Nakamura, an employee of Hayashi Imports. Casually, James returns the card and tells him he dropped it. He confirms that Nakamura works for Hayashi and remarks that it's a small world. Nakamura studies him carefully and asks what he knows about the company. James replies that he knows they misplaced a blue van. Nakamura narrows his eyes and asks if he's a cop. James calmly responds that he's U.S. Navy.
Well, so Yakuza went with a guy like Robichaux. I didn't know anything about Yakuza, but a man who works at Pearl Harbor should know better than to with the Japanese. I think you're forgetting how that story ended. You know, there's a famous Japanese saying, the tail of frog is still just a frog. What's that mean? It means that frogs never look both ways when crossing the street.
He adds that he looks forward to meeting James again before walking away. Outside, Johnny introduces himself to the woman and begins flirting. He tells her his name.
You look like all kinds of trouble to me.
That's Halle.
Johnny Halle.
Halle.
As in Walter Haley. He's my father. You know him? What do you mean new? There's something happened to him. He's dead.
She reveals that she once hired Walter to look into her husband's activities. She then introduces herself as Monica and discloses that her husband is Marcus Robichaux. She explains that she is planning to divorce him, but needs leverage to secure a favorable outcome.
Without some leverage, things won't go well for me.
You mean financially?
No, Johnny. I do not mean financially.
Before leaving, she tells Johnny to meet her at a penthouse in Waikiki the following day, promising to explain everything in detail. Moments later, James notices security escorting Johnny out. Soon after, security approaches James as well and informs him that Mr. Robichaux would like a word. The brothers are taken to Marcus Robichaux's private office. Robichaux greets them coolly, noting that he doesn't often get party crashers at his fundraisers, but senses there's something unusual about them. James introduces them as Walter Hale's sons. At this, Robichaux says he paid Walter in full for his services, including bonuses. Johnny informs him that Walter is dead. Robichaux offers polite condolences, though Johnny doesn't believe they're sincere, and hints that he knows Robichaux wasn't the one who hired Walter. Johnny suggests Robichaux already knew who they were and only invited them up to assess whether they were a threat. Robichaux denies any involvement in Walter's death.
Is he implying that I had something to do with Walter's death? No. Not? I'm not implying. I'm saying it direct to your Robichaux, Johnny.
When James asks about the nature of their business with Walter, Robichaux explains that he hired him to follow his wife to see if she was cheating. According to him, Walter found no proof of infidelity. As the conversation continues, Johnny casually picks up a grenade from Robichaux's desk and tosses it lightly in his hand.
Can I please ask you to put that down? That is a French F1 grenade from World War I. Sort of bleh. Who cares? Well, you might when your hand's been blown up.
James notices a paper wrapped around severed fingers on the desk and points it out. Robichaux dismisses it coldly, saying the maid must have forgotten to take out the trash. Robichaux calmly says he needs to return to his guests. The brothers are dismissed. As they leave, Johnny reveals that the woman he was flirting with earlier was Robichaux's wife, Monica.
She finished the dishes. No, I was interrupted by some cooked up yakuza. Washed the fingers.
After they leave, Robichaux picks up a photograph of Monica and mutters, "Oh, honey."
Now what the f*** have you done?
The next day, Johnny arrives at the Waikiki penthouse where Monica asked him to meet her. Instead of answers, he finds a crowd gathered below. Monica has fallen from her balcony and lies dead on top of a car. The scene is staged to look like a suicide. Johnny is horrified. Enraged, he storms straight to Robichaux's estate. As Robichaux relaxes in his swimming pool, his guards attempt to stop Johnny. He fights them fiercely, knocking several out before they manage to tase and overpower him. Robichaux steps out of the pool.
Oh. Sweet dick, bro.
Calmly remarking that he is beginning to dislike Johnny. Johnny accuses him of killing Monica and Walter, but Robichaux denies everything and orders his guards to call the police. One of the guards knocks Johnny unconscious. Johnny later wakes up in a jail cell. Peter Maho arrives to see him. Peter explains that Nani informed him of the situation and that he convinced Robichaux not to press charges. Johnny insists Robichaux murdered his wife, but Peter says that even if that were true, it's a matter for the police. He promises to handle the release process and leaves. Once released, Johnny finds James waiting at the reception desk. Johnny ignores him and walks past, but James yells at him, saying he can't just return to Hawaii and start tearing everything apart. He adds that this reckless behavior won't bring his mother back. That comment ignites Johnny's fury. He turns and attacks James, landing heavy punches. James regains control and fights back. The brothers unleash years of anger and resentment in a brutal brawl. James eventually overpowers Johnny and repeatedly punches him before stopping midway.
What the f*** is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Johnny crawls back and sits up, finally voicing the pain he has carried for years.
What kind of man abandons his little brother when he needs him the most? Not what happened. You sent me away, James. You were going to prison. I was trying to protect you. The syndicate was gonna kill you. I didn't know what else to do. You wouldn't listen to me. The only thing I could think of to save your life. I have no idea what it's like to look at your mother dead in the streets as she's staring into your eyes. It haunts me. I couldn't protect her. I couldn't do anything. You were all that I had left. And you... I know I let you down. I'm your big brother and I gave up on you. I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm so grateful I got. Why are you chasing me so hard? Walter wasn't any kind of father to you. I never found the man that killed my mom. Now so much for my father. Someone's got to give him justice. Well, they have. No, they got me too. So do you. I lied in bed. You hit like in the hard friend old
Back at home, Layla scolds the brothers for fighting each other. James quickly says Johnny started it, but Layla shuts that down, reminding James that he's supposed to be the adult. James pulls Layla close and kisses her. At that moment, Johnny's phone rings. It's Valentina. He flashes the screen at everyone to prove he does, in fact, have a girlfriend before answering.
Valentina. Spicy. Okay, I gotta go now.
Valentina immediately asks why his house in Oklahoma is now a crime scene, but says she doesn't really care. You know what? I don't want to know. She explains that his mail had been piling up, so she went to check on it. Among the letters was a package sent from Hawaii. Johnny instantly realizes it must be the package the Yakuza were looking for. Valentina opens it and says it contains a thumb drive.
Could you bring me the thumb drive? I'm gonna send you a ticket to Oahu.
You're in Hawaii? This whole time? I wanted to go there with you. You told me you were never.
I will explain everything once you get here.
Except I'm not going Hawaii. I'll FedEx it to you.
It's too important. You have no idea what's going on here.
There is no way in hell I'm coming to Hawaii. The very next day, however, Valentina shows up in Hawaii in person.
Damn, shit's not.
What? My bad, boss. I've underestimated you. Chili pepper water.
Yeah, shoots up.
He tries to hug her, but she dodges him and makes it clear they are not getting back together. She's only staying for a day, just enough time to enjoy the beach before flying home. In the car, Valentina struggles to believe that Johnny's estranged father was killed over something stored on a thumb drive. Pika connects it to his laptop, but hits a security wall.
It's a cold wallet. It's digitally encrypted. She's really hot, dude. It's chili pepper water. Chili pepper water.
Yeah, I'm sitting right here, right? You're having Tourette's? What's wrong with you? Johnny suggests that whoever owns the wallet needs that drive to access the money, and if they can hack it, they'll uncover both the funds and the identity behind it. Valentina clarifies that without the 12-word seed phrase, it's nearly impossible to access the account.
How many words?
12?
Try these. How'd you get that? And Walter stuff.
Before they can process the results, a helicopter suddenly swoops in overhead and opens fire on their car.
That's a fucking helicopter. Here, grab Lingo's gun. Holy. Ooh, what the? You're going too, Tony. Let's stop more shooting. Your web's amazing.
Johnny fires at the helicopter, but it barely makes a difference. Valentina demands the wheel. Both brothers agree instantly. She takes control and expertly maneuvers through traffic as bullets shatter windows and cars collide around them. Two Yakuza members on a motorcycle join the chase, firing non-stop. Valentina slams on the brakes, causing the bike to crash into their vehicle. The two attackers cling to the car. James fights one off while Johnny battles the other. Valentina and Johnny manage to get rid of one of them by ripping off his arm. Soon after, James uses the asphalt like sandpaper to reshape the attacker's head.
He's erasing his head.
The helicopter returns and resumes firing. Johnny grabs one of the fallen Yakuza's weapons. Johnny fires but fails to hit the gunman. James calmly takes aim and shoots the helicopter's gunner. The stray gunfire hits the pilot, sending the helicopter spiraling. The brothers celebrate too soon as the aircraft veers toward them. Valentina floors the accelerator and swerves just in time. The helicopter crashes behind them in a fiery explosion. They finally make it to a local restaurant to regroup. Johnny devours food.
It's all disgusting. Trying blood everywhere. You're eating.
While James complains about the heavy damage done to Layla's car. Pika announces that he managed to break into the wallet, but doesn't fully understand what he's seeing. Valentina takes over and quickly analyzes the transactions. For 3 years, $12 million have been funneled into the same account through multiple offshore channels. She traces the final destination of the funds. The recipient is Peter Maho, the governor. The brothers piece everything together. Marcus Robichaud wanted to build a casino on protected Hawaiian land. To make that happen, he bribed Peter with $12 million to push for legalized gambling. The Yakuza were brought in to provide muscle and enforce silence. Walter, while investigating Monica's concerns about her husband, must have uncovered the larger conspiracy. He likely convinced Simi Iona, the accountant whose body was found in the van, to leak proof of the illegal transactions. Once Peter realized Walter had the evidence, he informed Robichaud, who then alerted the Yakuza. The accountant was tortured until he revealed Walter's involvement, sealing both their fates. Meanwhile, Nani meets Peter at the office and thanks him for helping secure Johnny's release. She then shows him the blueprint for the casino and tells him she suspects Robichaud is planning something illegal.
I'm telling you, Nani, it's not gonna happen on my watch. Tomorrow I'm gonna ask for a comprehensive review of all Robichaud's projects on the island. Okay, good work, Nani. I'll take these.
Thank you, Uncle. James, Johnny, Pika, and Valentina arrive at James's house. James calls out for the kids and for Layla, but there's no answer. He dials Layla's phone and hears it ringing somewhere inside the house. James searches frantically and finally finds the kids hiding in the bathroom. Kai is in tears. He tells his dad that men came and took Layla.
I should have protected her. I couldn't do anything.
The kid's words hit Johnny hard, reminding him of his own childhood,
I should have protected her.
when he also couldn't help his mother as she was dying before his eyes. James assures Kai he did exactly the right thing by staying safe. Just then, Johnny receives a video message and signals to James. In the video, Marcus Robichaud mocks them, asking why they would risk their lives for a father who never cared about them. He then reveals Nani tied up in his basement, guarded by armed men. Moments later, Layla is dragged into the frame as well. Robichaud demands that they bring the drive to him in person in exchange for the women's lives. When the video ends, James takes Johnny to his secret arsenal, and Johnny can barely believe what he's seeing. Together, they methodically load firearms and prepare for war. That night, they arrive at Robichaud's estate. Moving with ruthless precision, they begin eliminating guards one by one. They stay in the shadows, silent and efficient. Down in the basement, Robichaud's head of security radios the guards stationed around the property, but gets no response. Suddenly, the lights cut out. Realizing something is wrong, Robichaud orders his men to investigate. The head of security checks the electrical box and discovers the wires have been cut. He informs Robichaud and decides to head toward the backup generator, but he's horrified to see the bodies of his men floating lifelessly in the pool. He radios that they're under attack. Johnny appears behind him and slashes his throat.
Craig? No, there's no Craig here.
Johnny!
Robichaud. Jem boy, what are you doing? Nothing. I thought we were just saying each other's names. I'll see you in a sec.
Panicked, Robichaud orders Nakamura and his Yakuza team to handle the brothers. Nakamura speaks briefly to his men in Japanese and sends them out. The Yakuza step outside and immediately run into James. Instead of simply riddling them with his automatic rifle, he starts fighting them hand to hand, smashing them with the rifle and firing from time to time. The scene is a shameless copy of Old Boy. During the brutal fight, James takes them on alone, eliminating them one by one with calculated efficiency. As he finishes off the last attacker, Johnny walks up and tells him,
He's dead. Don't tell Layla. Leave Layla. Get.
They reach the basement and free Nani and Layla. The reunions are emotional, but brief. They quickly realize Robichaud has escaped. Nani tells them which direction he went. James offers to escort the women to safety, but Layla insists they'll be fine.
Go with John one after him, bro, and show that Holly he up with the wrong family.
The brothers split up to search the property. Suddenly, Nakamura appears and opens fire on James. James dives for cover just in time. The two exchange heavy gunfire until both run out of bullets. Nakamura draws a sword and charges. He swings with deadly precision, but James manages to dodge each strike, narrowly avoiding the blade. But James finally gains the advantage. He breaks Nakamura's hand, wrestles the sword away from him, and drives the blade straight through him. Meanwhile, Johnny tracks Robichaud down to his private dock, where he's preparing to escape by boat. Johnny blocks his path. When Robichaud reaches for a gun, Johnny challenges him to settle it hand to hand. Robichaud accepts. Out of nowhere, Robichaud turns out to be a skilled kung fu fighter who handles Johnny like he's a toddler.
You bad, Dad.
They trade heavy blows, but Robichaud overpowers Johnny. He beats Johnny badly and drags him across the ground with a metal hook, leaving him screaming in pain. Robichaud picks up his gun and aims it at Johnny's head. Instead of pulling the trigger, he starts yapping for 10 minutes, explaining how pathetic the brothers are compared to someone as superior as he is. With his last bit of strength, Johnny pulls out the grenade he secretly took from Robichaud's office and puts it right next to himself. The grenade explodes, killing Johnny and Robichaud dead. Johnny gets thrown into the water. James sees the explosion from a distance and immediately sprints toward the dock. He dives into the water and searches for his brother. Moments later, he resurfaces with Johnny and drags him to shore. After a tense second, Johnny survives.
Were you killed?
Sadly, yes. But I lived. Woo! The next day, Detective Rennert and a team of officers arrest Governor Peter Maho on charges including conspiracy to commit murder. As he's escorted to the police car, he locks eyes with James, Johnny, and Nani. Desperate, he insists he did everything to protect them. He claims he was like a father to them and begs Nani not to turn her back on him. They remain silent as he's driven away. Later, the family gathers peacefully at the beach. Johnny pins a photo of his mother to a coconut tree and quietly apologizes for staying away for so many years. Just then, Mr. K shows up and casually remarks remarks that Johnny is still on the island. Johnny responds that it's his island too. Mr. K shrugs and says that's fair. He congratulates the brothers for stopping the casino scheme before it could begin. He admits he was aware of the situation, but didn't want to risk starting a war with the Yakuza, so he let them handle it. As a gesture of goodwill, he gives Johnny the name of the man responsible for his mother's death.
And it wasn't one of mine.
Mr. K leaves. Johnny walks over to James, who's grilling barbecue, and shows him the name. James tells him he won't stand in his way. Whatever Johnny decides to do, he has his back. Johnny reflects on how he once imagined forgiving Walter someday. James then wonders aloud why Walter sent the drive to Johnny in the first place. Johnny doesn't have an answer. James suggests maybe it was Walter's way of bringing him back home. Johnny mentions the $12 million they recovered, saying it's a lot of money, but not enough to buy back their childhood. After a quiet moment, he tosses the paper with his mother's killer's name onto the grill. The flames consume it. Then the brothers walk back to the rest of their family.